What if you had just 1 week to experience the absolute best of winter in the Swiss Alps?
Heard this beat in my dream.
That's exactly what I set out to do. I spent 6 days in the beautiful Engadin Valley. I did stunning hikes, grabbed my snowshoes and explored a dying glacier, which was a truly special experience. I also went downhill skiing in one of Switzerland's highest resorts. Ultimately, I did an epic 40-kilometer cross-country ski challenge. It was an unforgettable journey, but after all of it, I discovered 3 activities that you simply cannot miss. I will share my top 3 with you at the end of this video. The first activity is hiking. I went from Engadin to Celerina. The day before there was some snowfall, which made the landscape even more beautiful. It might not be the most entertaining activity to watch since it's very chill. However, it was ideal to start with a small hike so that I could get used to the altitude of almost 2000 meters. By the way, the next activity is my absolute favorite and will be more entertaining to watch. As you can see, I even had to take off my jacket because it's so warm. That's so crazy. As it was end of February, it was already much warmer compared to December and January. In my opinion, mid-February to mid-March is the best time to visit the mountains in winter. Besides the comfortable temperatures, there's also a decent amount of sunlight. However, of course the snow might suffer a bit because of these circumstances. Like always, it's a trade-off.
Sunburned shoulders, painted in the parks. Daylight goodbyes, cheek to cheek.
Before we move on to the next activity, I want to show you another small hike. It's in the Forno Valley near Maloja. It was much less crowded compared to the first hike. Last summer I hiked to the Forno hut, which of course is not possible in winter. However, even though the snow limits the options, I think it's still worth it to visit this beautiful valley. It's so nice to walk on the frozen lake, and it's just so beautiful here. What I really like about winter hiking is that it's quite relaxing. It's also nice that it doesn't require a lot of gear. As I explained before, the only downside is that you have limited options in winter, but this applies to other sports like cross-country skiing as well. Wow, just look at that view. This right there, by the way, is the only peak higher than 4000 meters in the Eastern Alps. And today I will do my favorite activity, which of course is skiing. I think it was quite obvious that skiing is my favorite winter sport. It's by far the most fun. However, it also requires the most expensive equipment, and day passes aren't cheap either. But considering the fun you have when skiing on freshly prepared slopes, I would say it's worth every penny. The biggest downside is the risk that comes with this sport. Once I broke my arm while skiing. Feel free to check out my video about the Rosalenzer Heide if you want to know more.
Like a wildflower, summer sunsets, canyon clouds, feels like time is slowing down. Don't wake me
It's so much fun. There are almost no people and the conditions are just really good. By the way, the ski resort is called Kovac. That's the name of the peak where I started in the morning. With an altitude of up to 3,300 meters above sea level, it's one of Switzerland's highest resorts. While there are larger ski resorts, the Kovac area offers some of the best conditions in the entire country, especially toward the end of winter. In the Engadin, the Govilia ski resort in St. Moritz is more popular, but by the end of February, the conditions there are no longer good. The third activity is snowshoe hiking. Of course, it's similar to hiking, but it gives you the possibility to get away from the main trails. However, one disadvantage is that you sometimes have to carry the snowshoes to the starting point. Before I started filming, I already hiked for an hour. It would have been nicer without the weight on my back. I was heading to the Motorac glacier. I was already excited to see it.
And I feel unworthy of your love most days. Yet you welcome me into your holy place. With nothing to gain, nothing to lose, nothing to show.
Wow! Just look at that! Definitely one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. The beauty of the glacier left me absolutely speechless. It looks great with all those little air bubbles in the ice. Running your hand along the ice feels amazing. You can feel how smooth the surface actually is. I can highly recommend to once visit the glacier as well. It's a truly stunning experience. It's sad to see that the glaciers melt that fast. Also, the Motorac glacier used to be much bigger when I was a child. By the way, of course it would have been safer to wear a helmet, not only because of the ice, but also because of the rocks that were coming down from the moraine.
It's all waiting for you. It's all waiting for you. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
By the way, here you can see the old moraine, all the way to the end of the valley. This shows pretty well how massive this glacier once was. Seeing this clearly shows that the glacier's volume is now only a small fraction of what it once was. At that point, I was already hiking back. I also could have done this hike without snowshoes, but I just wanted to show that this is also an option. And if you are not sure about the conditions, it's sometimes better to bring the snowshoes along. You could still leave them attached to your backpack the whole way. So, it's time for another activity. As you can see, I will do some cross-country skiing today. My plan was to go from Skanf to Zernetz. As you can see, I was doing classic cross-country skiing. There's also the option to do skating, which I will show later. In classic cross-country skiing, there's a designated track that you follow to move forward. If you like to take it easy, I would definitely recommend classic style skiing instead of skating, as it's less exhausting. Of course, you can also do both, but the downside is that you will need two different pairs of skis.
We are two hearts intertwined. I can see it in your eyes, like the sun that beats the morning sky. We are perfect, perfectly aligned.
I have the whole slope for myself. It's so much fun. At that point, there was a lot of downhill awaiting me. I was really glad about the good track quality. When that's not the case, it can get out of control very quickly on the cross-country skis, especially the classic ones. For beginners, I would recommend not to do this exact route because of the many downhill sections. However, there are many other options in the Engadin, as you will see soon.
I see forever when I look in your eyes. A love that is deeper than the blue in the sky.
Yes, I made it to Sonnet. It was a lot of fun, but lately I've been quite stressed, and I have to say, going to the mountains and doing sports is just so good for the mental health, especially with this amazing weather. Now it's time for the final challenge, 40 kilometers of cross-country skiing. To make it more interesting, I will have a time limit of 3.5 hours. I wasn't sure if I could do it, but I decided to give it my best shot. As you can see, I was now doing skating, where there is no designated track. By the way, it's not a coincidence that it was so flat, I was actually skiing on a frozen lake. That's one of the highlights in the Engadin, which is Switzerland's biggest region for cross-country skiing.
Drink from the well. We were becoming us.
So far I did 10 kilometers. I'm really glad that I will have the lakes soon behind me. The lakes are really beautiful, but the surface of the slope was very bumpy. In this clip here I'm not on the lake and the surface is great. This clip was filmed on the lake. I would say you can clearly see the difference. This is definitely the most exhausting sport I show in this video, and the conditions didn't make it any easier. However, a few minutes later, I had finally left the lakes behind me.
Pieces of my heart scattered like stones, and I'm just trying to figure it out. For everyone I find, another goes missing. I'd fix it all if I just knew how.
This downhill section was really sketchy. As you can see, I just crossed the halfway point and you can really feel that the snow is worse now. The finish sign was for the half marathon. I knew that the first half was the easy part of my challenge. The real challenge started now, and the melting snow didn't improve my speed for sure. However, I was still quite optimistic.
Lost in a bag to know that I had a leg.
Yes, 30 kilometers done. However, slowly but surely it's getting exhausting. I was at the point where I didn't want to do another 10 kilometers, but I tried to stay optimistic anyways. Honestly, I think I didn't drink and eat enough, which wasn't helpful at all. After 20 kilometers, I had done a short break to eat a few snacks, but I think eating once wasn't enough.
Thought I'd seen it all till I saw you.
I don't know whether I can make it. I'm just so tired now.
Falling Paris too. And I've climbed hills to castles in the snow. But you I can't let go.
I think this is the final ascent. Almost fell. Let's push one last time. Since my watch stopped automatically on every climb, I can't say for sure whether I finished in less than 3.5 hours. I tried to keep track of the time and I think I made it. And with that final push, I crossed the imaginary finish line of the 40-kilometer marathon. So that's it, 6 days of vacation with many different activities. As I promised at the beginning, here are my 3 absolute must-do activities. First up, winter hiking. This one convinced me with its simplicity and profound beauty. You really don't need a lot of specialized gear to get out there, and there's something incredibly relaxing about just walking through a snowy landscape. My second must-do is skiing, and this goes for snowboarding too. Whether you're carving down the slopes of Kovach like I did, or just enjoying the glide, the sheer speed and the panoramic views make it the ultimate fun. And finally, my third essential activity has to be cross-country skiing, especially the skating technique. It's a full-body workout, incredibly efficient, and allows you to explore the silent valleys in a way that downhill skiing can't. This week reminded me that the Alps in winter aren't just for extreme athletes, they offer something special for everyone. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures. See you in the next one.